I've been thinking all week about what it is I need to say this morning. At first, I wanted to appeal to our own sense of injustice as Jews at the hands of the police and makeshift militias in this country. And that history is deeper and darker than most of us know or care to admit. Did you know that the song Strange Fruit, made famous by Billie Holiday's beautiful and haunting performance of it, a song about people, human beings hanging from trees after lynch mobs and even the police themselves took away the rights of trial and due process and murdered innocent women, men, and children, was written by a Jew. The song was written by a Jew who was putting to music the lynching of both blacks and Jews in the South. And then I thought that maybe this was a poignant opportunity to bring up our long and storied history of placing ourselves side by side with freedom fighters, civil rights leaders, and others who stood and still stand on the front lines of demanding justice, peace, and equality. That I could quote Abraham Joshua Heschel or Jacob Schiff or Stephen Wise, and it would provide inspiration and re-energizing of a fight that we ourselves have been fighting for decades since we first arrived in this country. But the simple truth is this: we shouldn't need those sermons. We shouldn't need to remember our history to care about the plight, the mistreatment, the neglect, the grave injustice suffered by others. And so I'm not going to give either of those sermons, because this isn't about how white Jews or Jews who are seen as white have been treated in America. It's not about us. It's about 400 years of treating people in this country differently based on the color of their skin, and being treated differently not just by police, but by our economic system, our educational system, our voting system, our political system, our criminal justice system, our system as a whole. It's about seeing, recognizing, and coming to terms with how some of us benefit from that discrepancy. And it's about what we have a responsibility to do to work against that deeply ingrained and deeply unjust scale that creates and determines different values of human life. It's not about us. But at the same time, this moment is entirely about us. Because 36 times, the Torah tells us to love the stranger. 36 times. That's a staggering number. It is a striking and powerful reinforcement of the basic notion of human decency that those who dwell among us should not only be treated with kindness and compassion, but with love. With love. And you want to know the real profundity of that textual truth? That's our obligation to strangers. That commandment is for foreigners, people we don't know, who came to dwell within the Israelite camp either because they chose to do so or because they were captured or claimed during times of war. Our black brothers and sisters are not gerim. They're not strangers. They're not foreigners. They are exactly the words I just used. They are brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters. They're not foreigners to us, even those who are not Jewish. They're our family, our neighbors, our responsibility as members of this family, just as we are theirs. And right now, our family is hurting. And you know what they are asking for? In the midst of this craziness, in the midst of this chaos, in the midst of pandemic, of murder, of fear, they're asking for those of us who are white, for those of us who are seen and treated as white in the society, to listen. To listen. Not to hear, to listen. To listen to their truth, to their anger, their sadness, their frustration, to listen to their pain, and also to listen to their hope. And we can do that. And you know what? That simple act of listening is a bar and a request dramatically lower than what is commanded and demanded of us from our Creator to those far more distant familially and socially to us than our brothers and sisters of color. What does it say about us if we are obligated to love the stranger, but can't or won't listen to our own family? We have a lot of work to do. And we know that it's not easy to live up to the standards of our Torah. We know that we struggle to keep Shabbat, to keep kosher, to give tzedakah. That struggle is part of our wrestling as Jews, as partners in this covenant that is not only important to us, but is our essence, our identity. As we just sang, it is our tree of life. And so in that spirit of that wrestling, I'm not asking us to be perfect. I'm not asking us to instantly be as devout and holy as God asks us to be. I'm not even asking us to reach the point of loving the stranger, because that too has proven to be a challenge for us. The day is short. The work is great. All I'm asking is that we hear that we are being asked, that we understand that while God might demand that we end racism and fight for justice and equality and goodness and peace and understanding and love, what our brothers and sisters are asking of us is for us, at the very least, to listen. It's not about us. Let's start there. And if we can't do that, if we can't listen to the pain of our own family without feeling the need to interject, to insert our objections, our caveats and skepticism, our buts and ands, our wells, then God help us try to justify our claim to his Torah. Because if we can't listen to somebody who is hurting without making it about us, then we don't deserve that Torah. At first, I wanted us to be reminded of our history. I wanted us to remember our own pain, our own struggles, our own senseless death, and the fear and anger that came and comes with it. I wanted us to remember our tzaddikim, our righteous prophets and leaders who had the audacity to echo God's words, that we should care about the fate of widows and orphans, that rather than korbanot, rather than burnt offerings, God wants us to treat others with kindness and walk with humility. But we do remember. We do know all of these things. We know what we are supposed to do. And we know who we are supposed to be. And that's what is about us. On this Shabbat, God grants us not rest, but restoration, so that while we sing in gratitude and thanks, we can hold up our end of this partnership and treat all of your creation, especially your creation hurting so badly right now, with the love, the respect, the dignity that they and you deserve. And though it is embedded into our liturgy to say the words, Adonai sefatai tiftach, God, open my lips, in this moment, we ask for the strength, the wisdom, the compassion, and the love to keep our lips shut, but our ears, our minds, and our hearts wide open. Shabbat shalom.